Hi, I'm Nightsmith, and I solely play strategy games. Since the dawn of humanity, strategy has been integral to our species' survival, from adapting to the environment around us to winning wars and societal management. Strategy was important to the growth and development of human civilization, which is why I believe through analysing strategy games and the core game mechanics each of them shares, we can find out methodologies and philosophies implemented within these games that will help us as the player cope with change and be able to better deal with it in the future. Before we begin this video about game philosophy, all games used in this video will have their Steam link included in a pastebin in the description, along with a separate pastebin for any references or videos I used throughout researching this topic. Also, for those unaware, from today onwards, my schedule of uploading the first Monday of each month is back in session. I must additionally give you some context about me. So if you are uninterested and want to continue to the philosophy part, feel free to skip to 1 minute 57 seconds. I hate change. Ever since I was a kid, I would find sudden changes in my life rather overwhelming and exhaustingly stressful. Surprising for someone who's moved country 3 times, gone to 10 different schools, including university and homeschool, lived in 9 different houses, and gone on so many overseas vacations that I can't count them all. Oh, and I'm only 20. This isn't to show off, but more so to explain why I have such an adverse reaction to any major upheavals of stability in my life. These upheavals can be as simple as being asked to hang out last minute, all the way to graduating university. The first ever strategy game that I and most people have played is chess. Chess is a battle of the mind, and to those that take it very seriously, a match is like a measure of one's intelligence. Chess can be both beneficial and detrimental to one's mental health, as people often take losing a game as a flaw or lapse of their mental capabilities, criticizing themselves for failing to win. Especially since, in chess, a lot of the gameplay is based around decision making on the player's behalf, along with drastic, unforeseen changes brought by your opponent. This means that whoever out of the 2 competitors has the worst perception or adaptability to strategies will lose the game. Though it may seem surprising to the casual player, plenty of people have uncontrolled feelings of anger and frustration from losing a game, most commonly known through But why is it that so many people feel the urge to be aggressive or prove that losing a board game doesn't equate to their level of intelligence? I theorize, like many others on forums that bring up this question, it's because you go in with this mindset that you will win, that you are the smartest person at the table. And admitting that you didn't expect an alternative outcome is a hit to the ego that triggers your brain into caveman must protect self. Get angry. Smash. The fact that you were unable to stop the oncoming change overwhelms the human psyche into a panicked mode of fight or flight. Why is this though? Why don't we as humans adapt easily to losing, change, or societal shifts in the world? I believe it's because we get ourselves into a comfort zone, a confidence within our control of the world, a safe space or routine that is stable and unable to be disrupted. Well, until it is. The comfort zone is a security blanket that we cover ourselves with every day. The familiarity of loved ones closest to us, or the job that brings in consistent, reliable income, are great examples of this. It can be something as simple as a hobby or habit that helps you get through the day. For instance, if I drink coffee a lot and one day am unable to buy it, I may seem irritable angry, and may even utter the words that I cannot function without coffee. But that is a lie. We blame the lack of coffee on our behavior rather than accepting that this upheaval in our everyday routine is the real reason we are upset. The fact that we couldn't control this situation breaks the illusion of our comfort zone into admitting that we do not have control of our lives. Now, bring this back over to video games, and the comfort zone is when you're winning or a certain difficulty that you rely upon in order to have fun. This is also an explanation as to why a lot of gamers are seen by the world as aggressive or having anger issues, when it's just the fact that the medium that they use to relax is not always going to allow them the pleasure trigger of winning or succeeding. Sometimes you'll lose, and when you're in that pleasure mindset, it is especially hard to accept this fact. This can also be exacerbated by sudden changes in the status quo, taking you from winning the quest or needing one more hit to defeat the boss, all the way back to the start of a level or dying by one mistake. How do we deal with frustration though? What is the best way to cope with it and move on? Though it may seem simple to say, often it is rather hard to acknowledge that things won't always go our way. Maybe you did the best job interview of your life and felt really proud of it, but are confused when you never hear back from the place you applied at. Maybe you thought it would be a good idea to rush forth your troops to take over your opponent's base, yet their forces were more superior than yours and you lost the fight, setting you back from a quick and easy victory. You can say that life is unfair and you had earned your victory, but what good is that going to do in remedying the situation? Would it not be more productive to email the potential job back or start planning a defensive strategy until you are able to muster a greater number of troops for a second invasion? Yet, more than likely, we give up, thinking that the opportunity has passed us, and there is no point in pursuing our goal. I myself am guilty of this, both in the real world and in video games, often quitting games or erasing saved campaign files the minute they do not go my way. Though it does stroke my pride to think it is not all my fault that 20 wars were declared on me at once, it's not exactly beneficial for me when this exact same thing happens again in the very next game. Another example of this is, well, if you're watching this, you more than likely found me from my last video, which many of you know I paid money to advertise. This isn't something I would usually do as I believe in natural growth, but I recently graduated uni and was hoping I could boost my chances of a career on YouTube. Was I expecting a lot more success? Yes. Did I get it? No. Was I frustrated? Yes. Was I justified? No. Though it may be tempting to revel in self-pity as people question why you don't have more subs almost every video, and having self-doubts about my own creative abilities, it won't ever help me reach the goal of YouTube success or authentic audience engagement I tried to force change upon my life, when that's unfortunately not how it works. So I may as well suck it up and... In strategy games, when you are losing, the most important thing to do is acknowledge where you messed up. If you are unable to do so, you will never be able to improve, no matter how much time and effort you put into the game. So, admitting that you didn't make the right choices and were unable to foresee the oncoming change may be a hit to the ego, but will help you improve your abilities for future endeavors. Maybe the reason you didn't get the job was because you didn't really care about the place you applied at, and no matter how good of a pitch you did, the lack of passion could probably be seen. Maybe you just need to follow up and show that you are keen for the position if it's still available. There are never really any certainties as to why exactly we failed, but acknowledging a few steps that were critical in this failure can show where we need to improve in the future. For example, the fact that I was unsuccessful in defeating my enemy early on was caused in part by my lack of knowledge about how strong my opponent was, when I could have scouted out his settlement. In another case, I was so confident in my ability to win a war that I just continued to progressively lose until I was too weak to stop rebellions within my realm. Both of these being easily preventable, but my security in the comfort zone led me to believe I would be successful no matter what, and there would be no unforeseen consequences. If I had taken the time to observe my current situation, neither of these problems may have occurred, and therefore my victory would have been easier to achieve. Bringing it back round to the real world, while it is beneficial in bringing me views, the paid advertisements on the last video didn't, however, encourage people to stay and subscribe. This is for two main reasons. Reason number one, they didn't know what the content was, and it didn't appeal to them. Whilst it's hard to accept, forcing change brought a large amount of people from different sides of YouTube to my channel, and it's not going to appeal to all of them. The second reason, however, is where my main mistake is seen. I didn't have any similar content to back up the Telltale video essay. Whilst yes, I did have content, it wasn't what people were expecting after they watched the Telltale video. Therefore, they had no incentive to stay. I knew this before promoting the video, yet was still surprised by its result when, in reality, I got a rather substantial gain from the advertisement, though at the time it did not feel this way. Whilst it may seem easy to give up when things don't seem to be going our way, we must remember. Yes, now I'm starting to sound like a parent, but it's true. Giving up isn't the best or first answer we should go to when things don't go our way. Maybe you just needed to learn a lesson from the last failure in order to succeed the next time you try. You're never going to get a job if you stop applying at places the first time you are rejected. You won't be able to progress in a game if you don't suck up the loss and try to fix up the mistake that you made, or use your knowledge of boss patterns to progress. Let's say your queen was taken early on in a game of chess, and whilst yes, it may seem like all is lost, if you play your cards right and are smart and cautious, you still have potential to win the game. Sometimes an alternate strategy or a fresh mindset are required for victory or progress to be made. If I had have focused instead on the internal affairs and conflict within my own realm, rather than trying to continually expand, I would not have been forced out of my title as King of Portugal. I would later realize when playing a different campaign that if I had not quit, I would have obtained the opportunity to earn back the title I had just lost. If only I had more patience and the willingness to admit my folly, learn from my mistake, and start from scratch to earn back my position. While it may take longer to achieve your end goal, trying again gives you that opportunity to actually have a second chance. So while I may not advertise one of my videos for a little while, I will first build up a catalog of content to attract viewers and encourage them to stay before trying to promote another video, hopefully encouraging more people to stick around with the channel the second time around. Though this doesn't always work out either, and unfortunately, we don't always know what the best decision or solution to a problem is. This is why strategy games teach us that asking for help is especially important when unforeseen changes happen. This can occur at any time, although there are always arguments that if you had looked hard enough, you could have seen the signs of upcoming change happening. However, you may not be the one who implicitly caused it to occur. In strategy games, the person you are asking for help may be an ally or a mentor, somebody who has more experience or power than you that can help you when you are faced with difficult challenges. Going to people who have also faced such challenges or aiding them when similar situations occur can advantage you when you're struggling and in need of help. However, it is also important to look after oneself and not sacrificing your own safety and mental health if the time isn't right. Otherwise, this may lead to negative impacts on both parties. Though asking for help may seem demeaning and embarrassing, it may also lead to more positive changes in your life as potential opportunities may pop up that were previously unattainable. I will suggest only doing this if you truly think you care about the relationship, as otherwise you may only use the relationship to your advantage, which will inevitably disadvantage you further down the line, as people may not trust you or want to help you. Although there is another part of change that is true, and though it is the most humbling and hardest choice to make, Yes, throughout this video, we have learnt multiple strategies to cope and continue towards our goals positively after unforeseen changes have occurred. Yet, as step number 1 taught us, things don't always go the way we want them to. There is only so much time and money and effort that you can invest in something before it becomes a detriment to you. Sometimes you aren't going to win a game, but you should play it until you have no options left but to restart and try again, learning from your failure. In other cases, maybe you need to try a different game, obtain a different hobby, way of playing, or pursue another goal. You can always come back to this if you really want to, but sometimes you have to admit defeat. This is the hardest point of them all, but it's the most important one to keep in the back of our heads, as it helps keep us in a realistic mindset and not fool ourselves into pursuing our goals till there is nothing left. Change and changing can be hard, but it's important to adapt to the real world, even if it means leaving a part of us behind, because otherwise we will never truly progress. Though I would love to, there will potentially be a point in my life where uploading once a month on YouTube will no longer be viable, and therefore this platform as a career opportunity potentially unobtainable, as I would be unable to compete with YouTube's ever-growing demands. Game philosophy doesn't have to be announced. Like change, it can be abrupt and loud and on display for all to see. Yet, sometimes it's subtle and quiet, hidden in the background of the action, only noticeable once you start looking for it, or play a wide variety of games. This was the case when I first noticed the link between strategy games and the impacts of change, both sudden and gradual. There is no one definitive way to cope with change, but it is important to use each of these steps as they can best help you overcome any obstacle you may face. Don't give up. Acknowledge that you aren't always going to be right. Appreciate it when your loved ones ask if you are okay or need help, and graciously accept it when you are in trouble. Continue to try and try, even when the odds seem stacked against you. Most importantly of all, remember it's okay to give up on something or need a break. Your mental health is what matters most. Change is inevitable, and we are unable to stop it, but we can learn to adapt, grow, and change alongside it to improve the world around us. So though things may seem bleak during COVID, remember, this is your opportunity to redefine yourself if you want to. Pick up that hobby you had no time for. Spend more time with the ones you love, and don't give up. Tomorrow is a new day.